Welcome, mindful performers. Today's topic is the energy of minds and reversing gossip. So, what is the energy of minds? In the book Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill talks about the power of creation when two people come together in a harmonious way to talk, exchange ideas, and discuss their plans for the future. He states that a third mind is actually created energetically when two people come together in this way. He calls it a mastermind. In yoga, this is actually called an egregore. And either of these can be thought of as the energy from two people's conscious thoughts forming into a mind that works on the behalf of those ideas and those thoughts and those intentions when those two people are no longer together discussing them. Now, of course, the more often that you come together and have those discussions and talk about your intentions or create your future reality, the more energy you're putting into this mastermind or this third mind that's created when two or more people. It doesn't have to be two people. It can be as many people as you want within reason, where ideas can be shared and in a harmonious way. I wanted to touch on that because I think there's just a tendency for most of us, myself included, for a long time, where we will come together and talk about our family or our friends or our own lives. And I'm not sure if it's to avoid talking about our own issues or talking about something that we want to work through with the person we're talking to, or if it's just something that kind of gets ingrained in us as we grow up. But I've noticed that we spend a lot of time talking about the negative side of somebody's life or maybe putting some energy into gossip. I propose that we reverse this trend as mindful performers, realizing that we only have a certain amount of time with the person that we're talking to. We only have a certain amount of time to discuss ideas and brainstorm on the future. We can sit there and talk about their past or their story, but based on the energy of minds and how the mastermind thought process works, really all we're doing is creating a third mind, a mastermind, that has that type of energy within it, and it will start working on creating that for you and for that person. Now, I know this, some people will agree that you can create things for other people. Some people will say you can only create your own reality. Well, my reality includes a lot of other people, and I believe that what I create, of course, impacts the people around me. So I'm dedicated to creating a very harmonious, compassionate life filled with gratitude so that those around me are impacted in a positive way. So instead of spending time in gossip or in sarcasm or some of the ways that we usually will deal with things that are uncomfortable because maybe somebody's struggling, maybe somebody has issues that they need to work through, and they've been working through them for a long time. Instead of telling their story for them by gossiping, I propose that we move towards, sure, we can acknowledge where they're at, we can acknowledge the problems that they've had, but let's move towards really discussing what accomplishments they've done or where they are at that is positive. And if we can't find something, then perhaps we should not discuss it at all. I think if you try, you'll find that you can really find little things about any situation, even if the person isn't like in jail or something like that, right? I mean, that's an extreme example, but we all know that there's usually something positive that the person has done recently that is not their old story. We need to stop telling the old story for the person, and we need to do the same thing for ourselves. We need to make sure that we're watching the words that we speak on a regular basis about our own life and about our own desires and our own limitations. Let's cut out all the limitation talk. Let's cut out all the old story talk, because all we're doing is perpetuating that, right? We have our own energetic field around us, and our words as I talk about in my Watch Your Words video, our words are vibration. And this world is basically energy or light slowed down to a point that it is just vibrating atoms, vibrating at a very high frequency to become matter. Our thoughts, when we form those thoughts into words, being that these are vibrations, that's how we can hear them. That's how we process the sound that comes into our ears, is the fact that they are vibrations. These words have a very profound impact on the world around us. I just wanted to touch on the energy of minds and the power of two people coming together to discuss anything. Shift that time that you have with that person from complaining or gossiping, which is so easy, right? I get it. I mean, this is what we do, it seems like, as a country, or maybe it's just as a world. People get together, they talk about people, laugh about people, but I will tell you, it is energy poorly spent. When you realize the power of the words and the power that you have to create the world around you, you start to become very aware of how you use your words. And the more you meditate and the more you use the steps in the mindful performance that I teach, you truly want to maximize where you're putting your energy and where you're putting your time, right? Time is a very precious resource, and of course your energy is a precious resource. And at first, and I'll just tell you my own personal story, at first I used to withdraw from these interactions, from these discussions. They were uncomfortable for me. I realized I used to be a person that would dive into gossip, and I still struggle with that sometimes, but I knew that I didn't want to put my energy in that. I didn't feel that I was doing the people any good that I was talking about, and I certainly didn't think I was doing myself any good by putting my energy in something that may not affect me at all and may not be positive for the people involved in the situation that I was talking about. When I first became mindful or striving to become mindful, was becoming aware of my thoughts. I knew I didn't want to engage in that. I had a tendency to just kind of withdraw from the conversation or change the subject. And I know that that is frustrating for a lot of people because this is how we've communicated for so long. So as you become more mindful, you may notice that people think that, you know, something weird is going on, or maybe you change your medication, or whatever, whatever the case may be. And I'm just getting to the point where I comfortably can have the conversation that I would rather focus my attention and my energy on creating with that person I'm with. Let's spend our time telling a new story. Let's spend our time dreaming the most wild dreams that we can come up with and see what happens. See what happens with this mastermind that comes together. One time I was at Thanksgiving dinner, there was just a regular conversation, but the topic turned to something that I really didn't care to discuss. It might have been politics or who knows what. And my wife afterwards, she teased me a little bit. She said, "Do you realize that when people start talking about things you don't want to talk about, you just start staring at the candle?" It really hadn't occurred to me that I did it so obviously until after she pointed it out. But at the same time, I'm okay with that. If it's not socially acceptable to not engage in those conversations, then I am okay not being socially accepted. Take the time to shift your conversations from acknowledging where a person or people are at, and then dreaming the wildest dreams that you can possibly dream while you have the mastermind effect, while you have two or more minds in the same place. Leverage that energy. Because the more times that you meet and talk about your plans, the more that mastermind or that thought form or that egregore will grow, and it'll start working on its own. It'll start working for you energetically to bring those ideas and those thoughts to form. Please subscribe to the channel to be notified of new videos. Give this video a thumbs up if this topic was helpful, and don't forget to eat your cantaloupe.